Grab a cup and let's spill the tea. Your unabridged connection to mainstream news here on WHIP Radio, Philly's #1 college radio station. Hey everybody, you are listening to The Tea with your host, Jon Dowding, here on WHIP Radio, Philly's #1 college radio station. And I just really want to talk about some very big and exciting things that have been going on this week in politics. This past Tuesday, November I believe it was the 7th? Yes, November 7th was Election Day 2017. Now, a lot of times people don't really care about an off-year election. It's little tiny strategic moves that people don't really realize the impact of until further in the future. For those of you that have been sitting under a rock the last week, I kind of want to just talk about at first the impact and obviously some of the results of the election. First of all, let's talk about some of the big races. The first big race is in New Jersey with the gubernatorial race, and that was awarded to Phil Murphy, the Democrat. And Virginia overwhelmingly turned blue. Their governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general all became elected Democrats. Those are some big moves, first of all. Then you look onto some of the lower levels. You look at how in New Jersey, the mayor of Hoboken is the first elected Sikh mayor who faced a lot of opposition from people, a lot of racist propaganda, xenophobic, Islamophobic propaganda, trying to convince people not to vote for him, and he won. And then you have, in my opinion, very big impact as well. The first openly transgender candidate was elected to the Virginia House of Delegates, which is very, very big as well. And not only that, but the election is also seeing a lot of women being elected all across the board. And that, in my opinion, is just amazing. And then moving on to New York, Mayor Bill de Blasio won re-election, and he's the first Democratic mayor in the last 30 years to win re-election in New York City. These are big moves. These are honestly a hint as to what's to come in 2018. However, Republicans again know that Tuesday's elections had a message. They just don't know what it was. So first of all, Republicans on Capitol Hill will admit Tuesday night's election in Virginia, where Democrats totally blew away the GOP competition up and down the ticket, sent a message to open up your eyes and pay attention. They are divided about what drove the defeat, what their party needs to do ahead of 2018 midterms. Now, taking a step back from the Republican point of view for this, first of all, I'm personally surprised that Democrats made such gains, because to be completely honest, I feel that both of the parties are divisive right now, and none of them can agree on what they want to do. So I'm very genuinely surprised that the Democrats were able to make up so much ground. Not only that, but I think people need to take a second to chill, because people are saying, oh my God, the 2018s are going to be Democratic, it's going to be this, it's going to be that, and they're calling the election before the election has even happened. We all know the effects of that from 2016, don't we, mainstream media? And that's, I guess, one of the biggest things that's annoying me right now, is that, yes, optimism is totally fine, but there is a threat, and I feel that there's an issue. There's a threat and there is an issue with people being too optimistic, because it makes you blind to the truth and blind to reality. And with that being said, I think this is going to make people blind again and just automatically assume Democrats are going to win control of the House and the Senate again, blah, blah, blah. But hey, we all know what happened in 2016 when we started assuming things, right? I think it's a common mentality and a common ideology of what happens when you assume, correct? We all know the effects of blind support and blind optimism and blinding ourselves to what is actually going on. Because we have to remember, there was a huge Trump base that voted for Trump and came out and voted for him, and now look where he is right now. A year later, look where he is right now. I mean, technically not a year, because he was only inaugurated in January, but still. So with that being said, I think that it's really important for us to be able to acknowledge and recognize the fact that, yes, this is big moves, these are money moves, as my girl Cardi B would say. The Democrats are making money moves, but regardless, it's not 2018 yet, and it's not even close to the 2018 elections. We still have a year. A lot can happen in a year. And this is the thing that's kind of annoying me as well. Why are people so dumb to just go out and assume things after the 2016 election? Did nobody else learn from that mistake? There are media outlets already calling it to the Democrats. There are people already saying Trump should be careful. There are already people coming out and saying they're so excited because Democrats won. Democrats won. Yes, they did make some moves, but they did not take control of Congress. The election has not happened yet. So I'm going to need people to chill out for a second and wait, honestly, because it's ridiculous. When you get false hope, that's what blinds you and that's what's dangerous. So everybody who has false hope, stop and wait until the election. Because again, we thought a year ago today we would have the first female president. Don't even act like it's not the truth. We thought we'd have the first female president, but we know what we have in the White House, and it's orange. Looking on the Republican side of everything, this is something that the Republicans need to acknowledge, especially because exit polls showed that President Donald Trump's tenure in office energized Democrats to come out in larger numbers than they have in past recent elections, especially in suburban areas where the president's policies are less popular. And these are the same areas where the most competitive House seats are located, and where Democrats believe they can potentially flip enough seats to win back control of the House of Reps. Republican Senator John McCain said he predicted this, and unless we get our act together, we're going to lose heavily. Republican Senator John McCain also referenced two recent speeches he's given where he warned about the president's divisive rhetoric and that impact of the rhetoric on the Republican Party in the future. But other Republicans in Congress believe what happened is less about Trump and more about frustration from the GOP base that elected leaders are not following through on key campaign promises. Again, with this presidency, there are a lot of lurking variables affecting a lack of GOP support. It's not only President Trump, period, but it's the Russian investigation. It's the lack of support and the lack of trust that people have for the government because of everything going on. It's this idea that the government is not doing anything for us. They're just saying stuff to get themselves there, and they're not really helping us in the long run. Going back to what I talked about with a large amount of support coming from suburban areas, it's completely true. A lot of the Democrats made gains in Virginia in suburban areas where they normally would not have won, again, because people are energized over the fact of Trump in the White House and seeing the inactivity he has had within the last year. And again, I feel with the Democratic side of everything, they need to chill out. They need to sit down and look at the facts, look at the figures, and make strategic moves. That's where you're at. And now the same thing also too with the Republican side. Yes, they did have some losses, but at the same time, they need to just sit down and say, okay, but why? We need to figure out why we have these losses. Is it because of Trump? Is it because we're not following through with things? Is it because people are annoyed with not draining the swamp that there is in DC? It comes down to a lot of factors. Regardless, the pendulum of progress swings from liberal to conservative, left to right. The pendulum right now is extremely to the right, and I think it's going to swing back left a lot quicker than we thought. My personal humble opinion, again, I could be completely wrong. Hundreds of thousands of people were completely wrong about 2016 election, but you never know. Regardless, I still think that it's important to acknowledge that yes, this election was very important. This election had a lot of subtle hints at what may be to come, but again, listen to what I said. What may be to come. This is not set in stone. We don't know what's going on. But regardless, I think it's important for us to still go out and use your civil right and your civil liberty to go out and vote. So a lot of people fought for it and they couldn't. I'm sounding a little hypocritical because I didn't vote in this one, but that's because I couldn't get home. But regardless, I could have filed an absentee ballot, so that's on me. Still, though, I think that it's very important for people to acknowledge that yes, this election has said a lot, but it hasn't said everything. And we will find out everything in the future. So sit and wait, everybody. And until then, if you don't have health care, sign up for Obamacare. I think you can do that now. I don't know. But until you can learn everything, keep listening to my podcast. Why not? It's good. I would think it is. I think it actually is. You guys can listen to my podcast on WHIPRadioTU.com or even on our YouTube channel. But as always, this has been your hottest scalding cup of tea with Jon Dowding. Thanks so much for listening. I'll get back to you guys next week when I pour my next cup of hot tea. Thanks, guys.